So hi everyone, today in this video we're gonna develop another mental model that can be useful for you, since mental models are representations about how the reality works. And what's the model that we're gonna apply today is the mental model of putting to work, so what are the knowledge that we have been accumulating in the channel, by so making the mental models getting the union that makes so them create a solution that can be reasonable to think that so has a potential to solve the problems that we so face in reality. And then so we're focusing in looking so for the main problems that we face today and see so all these mental models that have been grasped, how they can be applied so in order to have a practical type of solution coming from them. And then so what's the problem that we're going to face today? It is where so something that we're going to try to solve is the urban air pollution. Obviously this is made by a non-specialist, but it's obvious to see how you can create solutions even if you don't have like a specific knowledge, you've not studied for a long in a specific area. See so how you by manhandle and dominating these mental models, these concepts, these patterns, you can already be in a good position so to create a respectable type of solution. So what we have to understand is first I defend the problem. So what's the problem? The human air pollution. So we see that nine in 10 people they breathe polluted air, and we have 7 million deaths a year that comes with that. And what are like type of diseases? Heart disease, strokes, lung cancer. We have economic costs, so 8.1 trillion a year in healthcare, more or less productivity that comes so with these diseases that the people accumulate with urban hair. So it's the hair, the urban hair that's a problem. No, the problem is what the pollution that is in that urban hair makes in the people that so breathe that hair. And so that's where we have to focus. So this comes obviously with first principle thinking. So what's the core question to start is what's actually is a polluted air, what is in a polluted air. So we see the atomic truth is the PM 2.5 toxic particles from vehicles for 40%, industry 30%, in construction 15%, the main contributors. So for these particles that we call it toxic particles that so present in the air makes a polluted air. So what's the problem is the presence of these toxic particles when so we breathe them. And so what could be the solution that we understood by making so this first principles thinking is that so we have to avoid to people to breathe this type of things. And how you can do it, or you can look for avoid is emission, or you can look so to avoid people to breathe, or if you cannot avoid any type of the release neither the consume, avoid that the people if so get consumed, it makes so the getting a disease. And then so you have like three ways to act, and you have to look for what's the most reasonable thing that you can so develop a situation. So first principles thinking, as I've been defending, helps you, and you should start it because so makes you understand better as the basis of what could be your hypothesis of action, what are like the big domains that you can act. But then so obviously we have as well to target the main ones, the main contributors. So we have already understood the particles, we have understood so like the ways to act. But then so we have to adopt a bit of priority principles. That's like target the 20% of sources causing so 80% of the air. So if you look for the emissions and if you look mainly so for to avoid, you have to look so what are the sources of the emissions. And then so priority principles are useful. So you have to look for the most important ones, the ones that if you act just like a few, you already have like the majority of the impact that you can expect. And then so what is this type of 20% that costs to 80% of arms? We have to look for that, and we see that diesel trucks that are like 50% of vehicles, they produce 50% of the transport emissions that so they correspond to 30% of total particular the toxic particles. Obviously the other one's 30 for industry and 50 for construction. If you so look for vehicles, in vehicles, just 50% of them they already produced the 50 so percent of transport emission, which so accounts for 50% of vehicles. They create what 20% of the release of toxic particles that so pollute the air. And then so we have to look for solutions for diesel trucks, how to manhandle with them. So what do you have solutions? We have already some ones. We have the London's ULEZ fines for high emission vehicle, like the PM 2.5 dropped 44% since 2019, since so this implementation, and retrofit filters. The Mexico City added DPFs to 10K buses, so it cuts the black carbon by 90%. So see some of the solutions. Obviously, you can develop other ones that so they have shown already results. But you can as well make it a bit more efficient thinking to even understand better the stakeholders of this process, and then so manhandle better each one of these stakeholders. And what so could be the map that you can take from the pollution life cycle? We have the inputs, the fossil fuels, the industrial waste. What are so the outputs is these toxic particles. So you see that the manhandle of the fossil fuels, since the use that we give to them to produce electricity, or so them to create certain type of elements for consuming of the vehicles like diesel, gasoline. See so how in the process of manhandle these inputs is where so you create these outputs that are so the toxic particles that we don't like, CO2, these toxic particles, NEOx, and then so what do you have to understand? Feedback loops that exist in this system. So we have smoke. The smoke creates respiratory illness. The respiratory illness creates healthcare costs. Healthcare costs creates poverty, and poverty creates more coal burning. What could be a solution is to look for more circular industry. So the Rotterdam's waste to energy plants, they recycle 90% of trash and power 20 so 200k homes. And we have as well other type of solution that is the green buffer zones, like the Beijing's 100k hectare forest belt traps 50% of PM 2.5. We have as well can create other solutions by looking as well again for inversion, so reverse the problem. How to make the air worse? What are so actions? Subsidize coal, ignore so combustion dust, ban electrical vehicles, and so we have inverted solutions for that. Coal phase outs, the Poland shut to 12 coal mines in 2023, saved 80k lives per year around, and he artificial intelligence dust monitor. So Singapore finds construction sites in real time. We have another type of way to create lateral thinking, like clicking for a bit of biomimicry. So example is the bionic leaves at the Harvard that absorb CO2 10 times faster than trees. We have the algae facades, the Milan's Moscow vertical towers that are like 900 trees more. 20k plants absorb 30 tons of CO2 a year, and we have the wind tunnel design in the CEO's Clean Air Tower that uses aerodynamics to push pollutants into filters. We can look for now for behavioral incentives because we see that a lot of the distribution of these toxic particles comes with economic activities like producing electricity, producing of gasoline, and other type of things, obviously, so to make the vehicles work. So we work with people and people have incentives. So we have to look a bit of behavioral so incentives, nudge theory. So a problem is people work with incentives, and we've seen that we have a system that still incentivizes also the usage of these type of elements that release these particles. And another thing is that people resist change. What could be so solutions? A carrot. The Theo's Green Points app rewards cycling public transit with cash discounts, and stick Paris bans cars weekends that so makes 30% of PM 2.5 reduction. We have to have so a bit to look for anti-fragility, so thrive under stress. And what so-called are these type of solutions to so this type of anti-fragility that we want to create? So we have modular air filters, the Krakow's pop-up filters during smoke peaks, expand capacity as pollution rise, and crazy driving innovation, Delhi's post-smog investment in 100 electric buses. So we have to create anti-fragility for the system that you want to stimulate to exist, and the one that doesn't use that much of the element that use and creates so the release of these particles. So you have to create anti-fragility for if exists a crisis, the type of thing that you want to create doesn't go away and become back from the whole system. So it's something that you probably have to look, and you have to look a bit of second order thinking. So the long-term ripple effects. The question: if we mandate electric cars, what happens next? What's immediate is the cleaner air, but what could be so hidden risks is the cobalt meaning like the shield labor in Congo. So we have to look for solutions for second order consequences of the things and not just look for the first type of consequence that comes with our actions. So what could be solutions for this specific problem? Ethical batteries like Tesla's DBC, dirty batteries core label suppliers, and recycle mandates like the European Union's 70% battery recycled rule by 2030. So I expect these videos make you gain insights. I expect it was enough to make like the channel. I hope it was enough to remain seeing you in the next videos. And thank you, and see me in the next one.